All right, so we're going to go into the templates. So that's going to involve options settings. If I do the pull down and go into options, there are a bunch of things that you're probably not ever going to be interested in. All right, so the highlight is that there's a handful of items that you can try. I would say look at the input dimension value. That's going to just place the dimension, and then you have to double click it or change it manually. Single command per pick. I want to do a line, I draw the line, I have to go back to the icon, pick line, draw another line, go back to the line. So be aware of these two because these will change your workflow pretty drastically. Thumbnail graphics in Windows Explorer, if you have a system that is struggling with the folders, turn that off so it just shows you the SolidWorks icon instead of trying to take all of those little pictures and put them into your folder and manage it that way. Yes, we want the confirmation corner, auto show the property manager. I'm not real fond of the auto size when the panels are split. There are a couple places where that shows up that it automatically does it, so I end up turning that one off. What else? Haven't used the freeze bar that much. So freeze bar is kind of a rollback with stop at this point sort of thing. Let's see, drawings. Eliminate duplicate model dimensions. Well, that's in the drawing size. The purple and the black dimensions. All right, so my sketches show purple dimensions. That's because I have unchecked the mark all part assembly dimension for import into drawings by default. So I only want dimensions that I think are critical to come in under that insert, because in the drawing I can say bring in everything and still get it if I need it. But if I go to a dimension that is +0, -5, and has a min-max notation, has some kind of notation that is this is a critical dimension, I want to be able to mark the ones that I think are critical and not just have everything marked to go in by default, because I can still get them. I'd rather have the logic say I put a special and I selected that one to be marked for the dimension, not just get them all. Let's see, entities. All right, so these are all drawing related. Nothing really jumping in there. Display style, wireframes, these are things that you can kind of look at. Hidden lines removed as my display style preference, and that just kind of cleans up. The area hatch and fill is kind of a legacy item. The materials overtook those. Let's see, anything in performance, pretty much stay there. The screen colors and background. So about midway, use document scene background that is recommended. That means whatever is up here is in your selection set, and my preference is plain white, no disco items, no background. And if you do have trouble seeing some colors, just take them kind of systematically. Don't make broad changes. Change one or two items and see if there are any conflicts, because there's so many colors that are those visual references. You want to be selective of the items that you're changing. So common things are, if we go to the gradient, top-bottom gradient colors, then I can set a top and a bottom and have that kind of background. I do like the scene background because you can change over to something that looks nice, or if you're going into rendering, it's not a secondary item that you have to select. Specified color for paper color. Usually the white background. I've seen backgrounds set to gray and then it used up all your black toner because it was trying to print a gray shading through the back of all your drawing. Shaded edges, colors, so no, not really. The sketch, if you want to have some fun, turn on use fully defined sketches. It will not let you out of the sketch until you fully define it. That's just, there are going to be times that I need to check information. I need to jump out of the sketch, do something, find some information, go back into it. All right, if I'm set to fully defined sketches, then I have to work towards that fully defined sketch before I can get away from it. Also, the auto rotate view normal to sketch plane on sketch creation. So if I open a sketch on the top plane, it rotates into that orientation. If I'm doing a lot of those 3D sketches or I'm doing a lot of out of position sketches, I'll usually turn that one off. But it's pretty handy to have it jump in normal to the location. And center points, entity points, prompt to close sketch. You know, if I'm heavy into design, I usually don't prompt to close sketch. That's that I hit the X and it says, "Are you sure you want to close this? You're not saving." I can turn that off and I'll take my chances. If you create sketch on new part, then you're going to get a sketch on the front plane every time you open up a new part. Do not pass go, do not click. No, that's you just open up the sketch and it's going to be waiting there with or you open up the part, it's going to be waiting there with an open sketch on the front plane. That would be functional if I could select the plane. It would say, okay, you know, hey, I'm going to take you right into a sketch. Pick which sketch you want, get started. But doesn't quite take it that far. Let's see, dimensions, display planes, lengths, no. Relations and snaps, those are all pretty much by default, except I'm not fond of the grid. If you like the grid and you want it to snap to the grid, we'll get to grid in a little bit. Displays, a lot of information in here. Unless there's something specific that is giving you problems, we're just going to bypass a bunch of these in performance. Large assembly mode means that if you have parts over 500, they'll load lightweight. When we get to assembly, that'll be an issue. External references, we have different settings, and then the default templates. Notice this is pointed back to 2014. So the first installation was 2014. It is if I insert a new part or I insert a new assembly and it refers back to the defaults, it's going to this 2014 template. It's not going to the 2016 templates. I have to point them there. So the ... will let me select. And since it's not part of my list, let's see, is that a 2016? That's flickering, but I'm not getting the preview. Okay, not going to cooperate. The other thing I can do is change from always use to prompt user to select document template, and then it will ask me and I'll select it. So file locations comes back to, there's maybe half a dozen items in here that we're really interested in. And to set my template folder, to set my SolidWorks system folders, I'm going to come in here and the document templates, program files. So no, this one's not pointed, but notice it's set to 2014. And then a newer one for the tutorial. So items to be aware of, document templates, the design library if we're switching over to a network location. Those custom property files, kind of jumping around here. Sheet formats. When we get into the weldment profiles, and usually there's one more. Nope. Pretty much takes care of it. All right, so if I need some, there's going to be a few of them that I can add multiple locations. So in this case, I created a SolidWorks system file under the documents. So if I wanted those system file templates, all right, so I got the custom properties, but I didn't get my templates in there. So we're going to need to save one of those. So I'll fly that in, documents, my documents, SolidWorks system file, new folder. There's one of my drawing locations. So my SolidWorks templates. Okay, so that's just going into File Explorer and creating. Now I can add. Let's see. Oh, still can't spell. Well, see if it'll take it. Nope, I still have it spelled wrong, so I'm gonna have to correct that later. So when I do the templates and we save the template in the sheet format, I like to have those pointed to the same location, so there's one place. So even with my bad spelling, we're going to go back and add the same folder. Oh, missed it. There we go. So I'm going to put it under the templates. Custom properties should already be pointed there. We did that a little while ago in the advanced class. So we can go check. I think custom properties is one of those items that there is no add. If I need to change that location, add's grayed out. I have to delete this one and add in the other one. So it's pointed to my documents, SolidWorks system files, custom properties. That's the correct location. But there is only one recognized location, because when we're in the part or part assembly drawing, wherever we're accessing those custom properties, it's only going to go to one folder to look and get those definitions. Let's check out the weldment profiles. So weldment profiles will accept a couple. So there's some things in here that we're going to be able to access, and usually we're going through the process, we're picking that information, and if something fails, that's when we're going to come over and look at this file locations, try to identify that folder and get it pointed to the correct location. What do we want to see in Feature Manager? So scroll, name, dynamic highlight, yes, transparent flyout. So the dynamic highlight means that when I select the top plane, it shows me over here. I select a feature, I select a sketch, it shows it over here. If I'm in the work area and I select a boss, it shows me which feature that's tied to. That's the dynamic highlight. Enable preview of hidden components, that's fine. All right, and then the hide show tree. Well, if we turned all of these on, we would see nothing but tree item folders, and we don't need all of those. So things like solid bodies are typically automatic, except I use solid bodies enough that I turn them on and I say show. The equations are automatic, so when I create an equation or pull an equation, then it shows the equation folder, but not until I've generated something. So the choices are automatic, hide, and show. If you hide it, it's not going to come up. You're going to have to pick it or find it some other way. So notice that nothing is really set to hide. There are a handful of items that are set to show. And I'm not big on history, so let's just go and say let's hide history for that group. And then my solid bodies are shown, everything else being automatic. Spin box increments, when I hit the up arrows or down arrows, how much is it going to increment? Can control those there. The all-important reverse mouse wheel zoom direction. So if you're used to AutoCAD and it zooming up is zooming out and zooming in is zooming down or whatever, pick that one and make it the way you like it. Backup and recover. Auto recovery information, number of backup copies. If you have computers that are crashing, but typically nowadays there's enough RAM, there's enough video, there's enough everything that I don't. If I crash something, I was really beating on the software. I probably deserved it. So we save pretty regularly and go through that process. The reminders are nice if it's been more than 20 minutes, and show for 5 seconds. There are touch capabilities, so like my laptop with a touch screen, I can have it rotate pan with the finger movements on the screen. Whole wizard and toolbox locations. So again, if I'm on a network, I want to point to a common toolbox so that everybody's pulling off of the same information. We put that out on the server, and then point to that location so that we don't end up with mismatches of hardware fasteners. File Explorer, everything that's showing up in and around. Search, show search toolbox, that's kind of up here. Maximum results, indexing, always index. So maybe they changed that from the distillation or no, tessellation, whatever it was. We haven't gotten to it yet. I think that was it. The first time I saw the one, I thought it was a virus, but it was SolidWorks indexing my computer for me. Enable multi-user environment will help with files already open or somebody having ownership of them, but it's not the same as PDM, document management. That is product document management systems. I still messed that up. Anyway, jumping over the document properties. ISO, I like ISO. You can pick ANSI, you can pick any of the other standards. One of the nice things is I generate a lot of really crowded drawings, and ISO puts the vertical dimensions, aligns the dimension vertically to the extension lines, to the dimension line. So instead of having to stagger, I may still have to stagger, but to me it's a cleaner look. So I would say that probably about, well, 5 or 6 years ago I didn't catch that it installed at ISO, wasn't paying attention or just didn't care, and started drafting and went, oh yeah, that's kind of neat, and started using it, and nobody said I had to do anything different. And once I started using it, I liked it enough better. But a lot of people will look at, well, this isn't an ANSI drawing, I don't know what to do with this. These numbers are all screwed up. Okay, so they're out of line, get used to it. All of the annotation settings, different arrow sizes, fonts. Default font for everything in SolidWorks is Century Gothic. So you're going to see that popping up: font, datums, font, tolerances, font. And you can go through and set settings for all of these items in their grouping. All right, so under dimensions, same thing. If you want to go through and change everything, there are plenty of things to change. Of interest then is I do not want to add parentheses by default. So when I go in the drawing, anything that I add manually, that's okay. Don't put the parentheses around it. It's not a reference dimension. It's not something that I'm concerned about. I will take care of it. Center between extension lines, yeah, as a general rule, we can still move those. And then the dual dimension display. When we get to the units, we're going to be able to set a secondary dimension, so inch or millimeter. I've done inch and fraction, all right, so decimal inch and fractional inch as combinations, and then where do I want it to be placed. So typically the dual dimension will be on the bottom. And then do you want to change arrow sizes, definitions? You can go through and manage all that. I've done it for various reasons. I've gone through and made adjustments. But mostly there's not anything that I'm that concerned with that I have to for a specific reason. All right, so the virtual sharps. A virtual sharp says that I'm going to place a point somewhere out in space that is the intersection of, maybe there's a chamfer, maybe there's a radius, maybe it's something that is to be inferred, that before we generate that geometry I need to place a measurement to it. So what is it going to look like? Witness marks, I like the witness marks. You can do stars, pluses, dots, or you don't get nothing. None. So don't put virtual sharps. Settings for the different tables: bill of materials, general, title block table, some basic padding. The dim expert, they move this up from below, and dim expert is kind of moving towards the manufacturing-based definitions or manufacturing-based drawings, which is moving more towards paperless, where you put all the dimensions on the 3D model and be able to do tolerance stack-ups, those types of things, and the within the model as your manufacturing document. So a lot of these dimensions, right now it's in millimeters, a lot of these dimensions are a little bit on the large size for what I would consider standard, 3-place decimals and whatnot. Display options for the different items. Dim Expert still does not grab all of the features in a user-friendly way, so I use Dim Expert for specific items, but not for everything. If you have graphics cards, you'll want graphic cards issues. You'll want to turn off the shaded cosmetic threads. So if I have a whole wizard item with a cosmetic thread, or I created an item and generated a cosmetic thread, and typically the video card issue is that once you've generated that cosmetic thread, your part turns completely black. All of your features, all of your edges, there's not any real distinction there. So just be aware of that one. Everything else is pretty good. Fonts. If your text is taking over your screen, then you will want to display text at the same size. And the text scale is 1:1 for the screen size. So it stays at the same proportion as you zoom in and out, as opposed to, wow, my text just got really big. Grid and snap. The way that the grid works is that we're going to set major grid spacing, so 254 10 inches. Minor lines per major 10, so every 1 inch or every 25.4, and then snap points per minor of 1. So that would be every 1 inch. If I were to put 10 in there, then it would go to every 0.1 inch, 0.254. Or 2.54, sorry, 2.54 millimeters, and then we would have every 100 thousandths. All right, so even though we're showing millimeters, it's still related back to inch units. If you turn the grid on, though, it will snap to those items. I'm not fond of the grid. It's just in the background. It's background noise to me. So if you like it, turn it on, use it. Under the units, we have the custom, and typically custom, when I'm in millimeters, inches, degrees, length of millimeters, mass of grams, probably the per unit volume, or we change something in seconds. How do you want to round? Round halfway from 0, towards 0, half to even, or truncate it without rounding. So typically away from 0. And so here's where we set the units. If you do need to set for fractional inches, then you're going to come over and override the decimal by clicking in that window and telling it what the minor, the denominator of your fraction is going to be. So 16ths, 30 seconds. And if you have a tape measure with 64ths on it, good luck with that. But pretty much you should be able to read to 16ths. And then what my argument always was, you should be able to, with your 16ths ruler, you should be able to see halfway. So is it closer to this number or closer to this number if it's in between, not just it's a 16th. So I would typically go to 30 seconds, which drove a lot of people crazy. So take your pick. And then the other thing is round to nearest fraction. If you don't round, it will instantly revert back to the decimal. It won't say this is a 30-second up or a 30-second down. All right, so instead of decimal, I can set fractional. Model displays, specific geometries. Everything should default to that gray. But if you wanted to have, if we wanted to have a cavity always show up as orange, I could go in and edit it and set it to orange. And next time I generate a cavity, I should see orange geometry pop up. Material properties, again, this is a legacy to, well, before the material showed up in, I want to say 2007, but it might have been before that. Image quality, so right now we're set to lower, which is why I have more of a polygonal shape on some of my circles. I can go higher, but at some point there's so many dots that you really can't tell. So we got to find a happy spot in there that makes it work. Sheet metal settings, weldment settings, how we want to view the planes, and configurations. Alright, so I went through the options and I set my, let's see, make the following changes. Yes, I want to make the following changes. You need to have administrator rights to your computer, or you're going to be calling IT every time you need to make one of these adjustments. So things that we would want to see in the work area. I've gone through and I've set my options. All of this is moving towards creating a template. All right, so heads up display. Let's go ahead and right click, and I'm going to customize 2016. They move the customize to the top, otherwise it would be down at the bottom. When I go to customize, I want to enable the command manager and use the large buttons with text. If I turn that off, then we'll see a smaller icon, which is pretty good for a laptop, where you're kind of short on space to begin with. So the other thing that they added in 2016 that I really like is the lock command manager and toolbars. So we need to take a look at that one. Icon size is also good for laptops where you need to make adjustments, and where you have extreme resolution for whatever reason, making the adjustment and making it the icon size workable, those give you several options. So before I do too much about my 30-second attention span, let's go to the lock command manager, show what that's about. So at some point you will, oh, is it locked? By the tabs, huh? Well, I guess they changed something. Drag the command manager by the tabs to undock it. Oh, there we go. So these are the tabs, and they changed it to where you have to be on the tab. But at some point you will probably click on one of those and accidentally drag it. And then at that point, how do you get it back? So clicking on the command manager and dragging up, or to the left, or to the right, to the docking locations, that will set your position. Okay, once we put it back in place, if that happens a couple of times, then we'll go into customize, and I don't want to undock it at all. I don't want to be able to undock it, so I'm going to lock the command manager and the toolbars. Shortcut bars, items that are popping up, and is this a part, an assembly, a drawing, or a sketch? For that toolbar. So toolbars are flyout, and then each of the individual items. Commands that we would be interested in. So I've added split entities. Let's get rid of a few of these. What am I not using? No, actually I'm using all of them. So if I decide I don't want one, I just drag it back to the into the customize window, and that makes it go away. I decide, well, you know, that would be nice. I really want to put that one back in. Once I find it, is it Sketch Tools or Sketch? Okay, so there's my split entities. I'll drag it back out to the heads-up display. What else do we have? Under the new 3D sketch, grids and snaps, no. Insert a plane, no. Maybe it's a view item. So all kinds of things to view. So being able to view sketches, sketch relations is already up there. View 3D sketch planes. Okay, so as an example, I can drag it to the command manager or the heads-up display, and it will now live with the features. I decide I don't want it, I just drag it back. Modifying general menus. Setting up for keyboard shortcuts, so if you want to review all of the shortcuts, you can come through and find those. And then if you want to change or make adjustment to your hotkeys, you can add the shortcuts, and it'll tell you if it's in conflict, which one do you want to have priority. Mouse gestures is that right mouse button, hold down and drag a little to the left. What are the items that are going to show up, and do you have 4 or 8? That has not made it into my workflow. It's been out for probably the better part of 10 years. It hasn't made it into my workflow. So if you like it, that's where you go to make the adjustments. And customization, show all, or reset to defaults. Go ahead and hit OK. All right, so to customize an S button, I can go into, so right now we're ready to make features or do something. I can go into customize. It's going to take me back to this shortcut bar and show me those items, and then I can drag items out to this location. So right now, extrude, maybe let's go to the features, and I don't know, let's put the sweep in here. So I drag the sweep out, it adds it to the shortcut. Hit OK. Next time I hit the S key, I'll have sweep available if I've created the geometry. As far as managing, let's go ahead and customize one more time, wherever it went. And if I use more sketch on the part shortcut, I can drag. We can also change the size. Maybe I want to go whole wizard first. All right, so I can manipulate the items in that S key and add or take away, just like we did the rest of the icons. I would like to see my origin, so there's my plain white default. When you set a screen background default, you have to go to the appearances, and on the task pane, then to appearances for the colors. I'm sorry, the scenes. And then under basic scenes, we'll scroll down and softbox. I think these. Well, let's just pick one. That was my plain white. If I wanted this one to be my default, I would right-click on it, set as the default scene, and then that would become my default. Otherwise, I'd place it in the list, and then I can jump between each of those items. Onto the view, then, I would like to see my origin. All right, so now I get the blue origin as opposed to the red origin in the sketch, or not opposed to, in addition to those items. And we have enough there to save our template. I guess the last thing would be to Control-7, set it to isometric. And then I can go into File, Save As. And under Save As, when I pick my part template, it's going to default to the SOLIDWORKS location. So in this case, SOLIDWORKS 2014. Well, if I'm not 100% administrator, I have a lot of permissions set, so I'm almost an administrator. Some of these program data, some of these locations, I'm not going to be able to write to. So that being the case, having my document shift to a Dropbox, to a network location, to someplace that is more accessible, I'm going to have less problems with read-write access. So under the templates, then, this is going to be my part, and I'm set up for metrics, so part millimeter, and we'll go ahead and save. At this point, I can go back. Now, the other thing of note is if I open up a sketch and I draw a box. So maybe I'm going to be drawing a lot of boxes, and I want to start with that box. Always in place, then I can open up a sketch, have my base dimensions in there, 100 by 100, and accept it. And then if I save this as a template again, so it's still, I've got my, up here, part millimeter, PRT, DOT. So this is my part millimeter box. I can save that in the template. And then I go back Probably don't want that every time, especially on my inch, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that one back out. We'll go into well, I'll just go ahead and set inch, pounds, and seconds. File save as one more time. Fill in the templates, and this can go to inch and save. Now, because we drew the box and then deleted the box, I don't want to actually create anything in here. I have to close. When we go back to new, then I'm going to see part inch. I'm going to see part millimeter. I'm sorry, that was the other templates. Let's go to my SolidWorks templates that I created. Part inch, part millimeter box, part millimeter. So if I go to the part millimeter box, that sketch is going to come in every time. And it's always going to be sketch 2. So I should probably name that, well, this is an envelope, this is the box, this is the whatever as my starter. And make it a little more descriptive of what my intent is with that item. Go ahead and close. I go new and part inch. Then I'm going to be in inch, pounds, and seconds. But all of these are going to share the same basic properties, the same options that I've built in. And if I decide I want to make changes to the options, or I want to make changes, I'm going to resave and overwrite those templates so that they update. We talked a little bit, and I'm not ready to do that just yet this time around, but we'll talk a little bit about file properties. If there's something that I want to embed as far as an author, keywords, or comments, I can save those to this template. Custom, so single specific items, I can write those properties, and I still don't, I'm getting the list, I just don't have anything in it. There is a text file buried under program data, and that was probably the other thing that I was going to look for, was the properties location. And then configuration specific, we can fill out these fields, but anymore, I'm going to recommend that we go to the custom properties, which we did in the advanced class the first week of the semester. So looking at the custom properties and being able to manage these items, once we populate the custom properties, set up those fields, set up that table, it will write back to the file properties and kind of streamline that process. So there's certainly a lot more that we can do in templates, but this will get you started to where you can pick an inch, a metric, have something to go back and work from.